Good morning, boys. Today we are going to study about the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. We have already studied about the structure of the pituitary gland. Pituitary gland has two lobes, anterior lobe and posterior lobe. Anterior lobe of the pituitary gland is connected with the hypothalamus with the portal vein. Posterior lobe of the pituitary gland is connected with the hypothalamus with the nerve fiber. Inside the hypothalamus, there are a group of cell called neurosecretory cell. It secretes two type of hormone. Neurosecretory cells present in the hypothalamus secrete two type of hormone that are oxytocin and vasopressin. This oxytocin and vasopressin are secreted from the neurosecretory cells in the hypothalamus is transported through nerve fiber into posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Posterior lobe of the pituitary gland get collected and store these two hormones and secrete whenever it is required. First we studied about oxytocin. Oxytocin is the hormone required for childbirth. During childbirth, oxytocin is secreted. It acted on the smooth muscles of uterine wall. The target cell present in the smooth muscles of uterine wall gets stimulated and the contraction of smooth muscles takes place. So the childbirth become possible. Second function of the oxytocin is it facilitates lactation. So the two functions of oxytocins are it facilitates childbirth, it facilitates lactation. Normally, when a pregnant lady is admitted in the labor room for delivery, this oxytocin is injected into her body. It acted on the smooth muscles of the uterine wall to stimulate the contraction and the childbirth become easy. So, the oxytocin is the hormone used in the labor room. Vasopressin is the second hormone stored in the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Vasopressin is otherwise known as antidiuretic hormone. It acted on kidneys to reabsorb water to maintain blood water level. During summer season, excess amount of water is lost through sweat. Production of vasopressin is increased during summer season. Maximum water is absorbed and production of urine is less. During winter season or rainy season, production of vasopressin is less. Reabsorption is also less. Quantity of urine is more during winter or rainy season. In some cases, the production of vasopressin is decreased. How it will affect our body? In some person, adequate quantity of vasopressin is not produced. That is why the reabsorption is not takes place. So the quantity of urine is more. They feel frequent urination. This condition is called diabetes insipidus. Frequent urination and thirst are the symptom of diabetes insipidus. Production of vasopressin and its action is well explained in this video. Please watch it.
Balance. Hypothalamus of brain maintains homeostasis. The quantity of water in blood also should be maintained constant like other components. Vasopressin, the hormone produced by the hypothalamus, and kidneys together perform this function. Vasopressin produced by hypothalamus is stored in the posterior lobe of the pituitary gland. When the quantity of water in blood decreases, hypothalamus recognizes it. Posterior lobe of the pituitary gland gets stimulated and vasopressin mixes with the blood. Vasopressin reaches kidneys through blood. Kidneys reabsorb maximum water to blood due to the action of vasopressin. Thus, the quantity of urine decreases and level of water in blood becomes normal. When the quantity of water in blood increases, the mixing up of vasopressin into the blood will be blocked. The rate of reabsorption of water in kidneys decreases. Quantity of urine increases. Thus, the excess water from the blood will be excreted out.
What is the reason behind secondary sexual characters? The reason behind the secondary sexual characters are gonads. Gonads are the reproductive organ found in male and female. In male, testis is the reproductive organ or the gonad. In female, ovaries are the reproductive organ. In the case of male, testis produce a hormone called testosterone. It is responsible for secondary sexual characters in male like growth of hair, development of reproductive organ, sperm production. These are the functions controlled by testosterone. Then in the case of female, their gonad is ovaries. Ovaries produce two types of hormone, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen increases at the time of puberty. It also responsible for the secondary sex characters such as menstrual cycle. In the case of progesterone, progesterone is the female hormone secreted by corpus luteum after ovulation. Corpus luteum is a particular place in the ovary. It prepares uterus for implantation of embryo in the uterine wall. It also controls ovulation and menstrual cycle. These are the hormones secreted by the gonads in the male and female. In the case of male, testis is the reproductive organ. It produces testosterone. It is responsible for secondary sexual characters. In the case of female, ovaries are the gonads or reproductive organ. It produces two types of hormone, estrogen and progesterone. These are the hormones secreted by ovary. It also controls the secondary sexual characters and implantation of embryo in the uterus. We have already studied about the action of anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Anterior lobe of the pituitary gland control many endocrine glands by producing a special type of hormone called tropic hormone. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, gonadotropic hormone. These are examples for tropic hormone. Tropic hormones control the action of other endocrine glands. So the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland control these endocrine glands by producing tropic hormone. But this anterior lobe of the pituitary gland itself controlled by another part of brain called hypothalamus. This hypothalamus control anterior lobe of the pituitary gland by secreting two hormones that are releasing hormone and inhibitory hormone. When hypothalamus is stimulated, it secretes releasing hormone. The releasing hormone reaches the anterior lobe of the pituitary. Anterior lobe of the pituitary secrete the tropic hormone. That tropic hormone acted on other endocrine glands. So, hypothalamus is the part of brain act like endocrine gland. It is control many endocrine glands. So, it is called prime control. Why hypothalamus is called prime control? Because hypothalamus secrete releasing hormone. That releasing hormone reaches the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Anterior lobe of the pituitary gland secrete this tropic hormone. Tropic hormone control the many endocrine glands. So, hypothalamus is said to be a prime controller. The second hormone secreted by the hypothalamus is inhibitory hormone. If the hypothalamus want to inhibit, stop the action of other endocrine gland, it is secrete inhibitory hormone. Inhibitory hormone reaches the anterior lobe of the pituitary. It stops the secretion of tropic hormone. So, this is why the hypothalamus control the secretion of many endocrine glands. So, the hypothalamus is known as prime controller. Hypothalamus is known as the prime controller.
Hypothalamus and pituitary gland. Hypothalamus is the endocrine gland situated below the thalamus. This gland controls pituitary gland and thereby other endocrine glands. Pituitary gland, which is situated below the hypothalamus, has two lobes, anterior lobe and posterior lobe. The hormones secreted by the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland are called as neurohormones. Releasing hormone and inhibitory hormones are examples of neurohormones. These two passes through blood and reach the anterior lobe of pituitary gland. The releasing hormones produced by the hypothalamus stimulate the anterior lobe of pituitary, and tropic hormones are produced from there. However, inhibitory hormones inhibits the production of hormones from the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland. Hypothalamus secretes two other hormones called vasopressin and oxytocin. These two reaches the posterior lobe of the pituitary through nerve fibers or axons and secreted to blood according to the need. Oxytocin facilitates childbirth by the contraction of smooth muscles in the uterine wall. It also facilitates lactation. Vasopressin helps in the reabsorption of water in the kidneys. As it regulates the loss of water through urine, this hormone is called as antidiuretic hormone or ADH. Diabetes insipidus is a disease caused due to the decrease in the production of antidiuretic hormone. In this condition, excess urine is eliminated from the body. Weakened urination, thirst, etc. are the symptoms of this disease. As hypothalamus is the part of both nervous system and endocrine system, it plays a major role in maintaining homeostasis.
What do you see in this picture? Ants are moving in a particular line through a particular trait. What is the reason behind their particular movement? The reason behind their particular movement is certain chemical substance. Ants secrete certain chemical substance to the surrounding to identify other ants to recognize their path. Some organisms secrete certain chemical substance to the surrounding to facilitate communication are called pheromones. Some organisms secrete certain chemical substance to the surrounding to facilitate communication is called pheromones. Pheromones are specific to each species. One type of pheromone is identified by the same species organism. Other species organism cannot recognize the smell of the pheromone. What is the difference between pheromones and hormones? Pheromones are secreted outside the surrounding, but the hormones are secreted inside the body. Hormones require an endocrine gland, but in the case of pheromone, it does not require endocrine gland. Pheromones are used to signal the organism of the same species. Using pheromones, animals informing following things to the same species of the organism. First of all, the pheromones are used to attract their mates. For example, male organism secreting the pheromones to attract the female organism. Second, information to transfer about the availability of the food. If any organism find out a huge amount of food, it gives information about the food availability through pheromones to the same species. By smelling the pheromone, the organism of the same species are attracted towards the food material. Determining the path of travel. For example, in the case of an ant come out from their colony and travel a long distance and reaches the same colony by identifying the pheromone and give warning about the danger. Animals use the pheromone for give information about the danger. Animals live in colonies like termites and bees. They communicate each other by using the pheromone. Animals like musk deer secrete the pheromone called muskone. Civet cat secrete the pheromone called civetone. And the female silkworm moth secrete the pheromone called bombicol are the example we have to study. Musk deer secrete the pheromone called muskone. Civetone is secreted by civet cat. Bombicol is secreted by female. Silkworm are the examples of pheromone. Pheromones are used in the agricultural field to controlling the pest. To control the pest, pheromones are used very extensively in the agricultural field. By knowing the chemical structure of the pheromone, we can synthesize the pheromones artificially in our laboratory. We synthesize the pheromone artificially used in pheromone trap that is placed in different places in the agricultural field. Using this pheromone trap, we can attract the insect which cause destruction to our agricultural field. The insects causing destruction to the agricultural field get attracted with the pheromone and come inside the insect trap. Using this method, we can control pest which causes destruction to our agricultural field. So, in our agricultural field, this pheromone trap is used for controlling pest. These are the uses of pheromones in our agricultural field. Plants have hormones. Plant hormone control and coordinate life activities in plant. They are also known as growth regulators. In the case of plants, there is no endocrine system to produce hormones. Plant hormones, otherwise known as phytohormones. These phytohormones influence all the phases of the growth in plants. Some of the important phytohormones or plant hormones are discussed in this chapter. Most important phytohormones are gibberellin. Gibberellin is an important phytohormone. It stimulates breakdown of stored food into facilitate germination. We know that in seeds, foods are stored for the germination of the plant. This food material is broken into simple molecule to absorb for the growth of plant by the action of gibberellin. And sprouting of leaves also influenced by gibberellin. New leaves are formed by the action of gibberellin. So the gibberellin is the hormone which stimulate breakdown of storage food and facilitate germination and sprouting of leaf. Next hormone, axin. This axin hormone influence cell growth and cell elongation. Cell elongation and cell growth is controlled by axin, and it also promoting growth of the terminal buds and fruit formation. Terminal buds are seen at the topmost end of the plant. The growth of the terminal buds leads to increase in the height of the plant. That is also influenced by axin, and fruit formation is also influenced by axin. Next hormone is cytokinin. Cytokinin, as the name indicates, it also influences the growth of the cell and cell division. Cytokinin influence cell growth and cell division and cell differentiation. That means each cell differentiate into different parts of the plant that are influenced by cytokinin. Next plant hormone is abscisic acid. Abscisic acid influences the dormancy of the embryo. That means embryo present in the seed should be germinate at a favorable condition. Unfavorable condition it germinate, it cannot grow properly. So the growth of the embryo is controlled by abscisic acid, and dropping of ripened leaves and fruits also controlled by abscisic acid. The ripened, the full formed fruits and leaf are dropped from the plant are controlled by abscisic acid. Next plant hormone is ethylene. In the case of ethylene, it is different from all plant hormone. It is in a gaseous form. It is present in gaseous form. It influences the ripening of leaves and fruits. Ripening of fruits and leaves are influenced by this ethylene. Excess amount of ethylene causes dropping of leaves and fruit. If the ethylene is present in excess amount in plant, it leads to dropping of leaves and fruits. These are the important phytohormones or plant hormone present in plants. Plant hormones can be synthesized artificially by knowing their chemical structure. By knowing the chemical structure of plant hormones, we can synthesize plant hormones artificially. Artificial plant hormones can be used for the progress of the agricultural sector. These artificial plant hormones help the farmers for progress of the agricultural sector. The important artificial plant hormone we used as axin. This axin helped the farmers to prevent the dropping of premature fruit. Dropping of premature fruit is the major problem faced by the farmers. It can be prevented by applying artificial axin. It also helps for sprouting of roots from the stem in agricultural nurseries. In agricultural nurseries, artificial axin is used for sprouting root from the stem. It is also used in weedicide. Weeds are unwanted plants grow in between crops. These unwanted plants are cleared by applying artificial axin. The next artificial plant hormone is gibberellin. It is used for increase in the fruit size of grapes and apple. To increase the size of grapes and apple, farmers use gibberellin. It is also prevent the ripening of the fruit to assist marketing. In some seasons, some fruits become more in market. It leads to decrease in the price. So the farmers want to prevent the ripening of fruit for some days. They apply gibberellin. Next plant hormone is ethylene. We already studied about ethylene. Ethylene is a plant hormone which is present in the gaseous form. This ethylene is applied in the pineapple field for flowering pineapple plant at a time. Flowering pineapple plant at a time is important for their marketing. So pineapple farmers apply artificial ethylene in pineapple field for flowering pineapple plant at a time. It is also used for the ripening of tomato, lemon, orange. For ripening of tomato, lemon, orange, farmers also apply these artificial ethylene. In the case of rubber planters, they use a chemical called ethiphenone. It is available in the liquid form. When it transformed into ethylene, they use the rubber trees to increase the production of latex. This artificial ethylene is used for increase the latex production in rubber trees. It is available in the ethiphenone in a liquid form. Next artificial hormone they used as abscisic acid. Abscisic acid is used for harvesting fruit at the same time. Harvesting fruit the same time is important for marketing. So the farmers use abscisic acid for harvesting fruit the same time. These are the important plant hormones used by the farmers. Seedless orange, grapes and watermelon are produced by applying artificial hormones like axin and gibberellin. When we apply axin and gibberellin, it produces fruits from unfertilized ovary. Normally, fertilized ovary develop into fruits. By applying artificial hormone, unfertilized ovary develop into fruit. It is called parthenocarpy. Unfertilized ovary develop into fruit is called parthenocarpy. This parthenocarpy is induced by applying artificial hormones. Artificial hormones like axin and gibberellin is used for producing seedless fruits. Artificial plant hormone help the farmers in many ways, but the uncontrollable use of artificial plant hormone leads to many health and environmental problems. You have to collect more information from the medias about artificial plant hormones and health problems.